98% of dudes rapping, they ain't nice as me. 98% ain't live the same type of life as me. The judge gave me life and then they sent me where the life is be. That level 4 with depth and vice, the type of stuff they like to see. Two choices, fight or flee. I refuse to die a chump. I never been a mark, but damn, it's scary when that riot jump. I seen dudes cry, get pumped, and some sexually brutalized. Knew a dude who lost his life and he was only doing 5 year-long racial fights when homie all you do is ride. Lonely days and nights up in a hole causing suicide. From the moment you arrive, you see the Mexican mafia, AB skinheads with big giant swastikas, pro-black philosophers, the BGF, the Kumi, and Muslims who will murk you from the nation to the Sunni. That MS was loony, quick to ride up on they rival. Even Christians went to church, hide knives up in a Bible. Political and tribal, the Crips and Damus, the Long Beach, the Hubs and the Dubs and the Grooves, the IE, the Bakersfield, the Dago Pyrus, the hustlers quick to roll, the gangsters don't move.
Say, what's cracking, YouTube? It's your boy 16 to Life, and I'm back like I'm on a parole violation. You're down! For those of y'all that's new to my page, in 1994, I got arrested. I was eventually sentenced to 16 years plus life, and I served 24 years straight in the California prison system. Yeah, that's me gassing on that intro song right there. And if you want to get that song, you can purchase it on a 10-song EP that you get directly from me on a digital download link. If you're interested, hit me up on my email, 16tolifemusic@gmail.com, Cash App, PayPal, or Zelle me $20. I'm going to get it to you ASAP. If you want to check out more of my music, go to my YouTube playlist, scroll down to gas stations, or type in 16 to Life gas stations, and you can hear much more of my music there. Now, a couple of days ago, I did a reaction to a video in which I seen a dude who had served time as a Northerner spoke on a riot that him and 3 other Northerners had got into, in which they was fighting against the blacks. And he said that he basically held off 90 blacks. While there was 4 of them involved in this riot, he claimed that him and his cellie was kind of like sectioned off from the other 2. So basically it was him and his cellie, and he said in different waves he fought 90 blacks that day. And he was basically serving the blacks, handling his business and things of that nature. Right now, of course, he made a lot of wild accusations in that video that was extremely unbelievable. I didn't believe it, and you had a lot of individuals also in the comments. When I watched that video, I just focused on, because a lot of these videos have timestamps, and somebody had sent me the information, so I just went right to the timestamp. I didn't watch the whole entire video, right? So now during the course of that video, I believe the interviewer was on a show called Connect with Johnny Mitchell. And so he's asking this dude, hey man, you never did get knocked down or anything? And he was like, no, he was like, when we're fighting these dudes and they're rushing us in waves, he goes on to say that at some point in time, the guard started shooting. In California, on the level 3 and the level 4 yards, they'll have a guard in the tower and in the building as well. And in the building, he can go to the back window and overlook the yard. And the guard has a mini 14 rifle, which is a very powerful rifle when it shoots 223 rounds. Whenever there's any altercation, whether it's in the yard, whether it's, on the yard or in the building, at any time, if the guard perceives that you have a convict who is at risk at losing his life, whether he's being kicked, hit with objects or whatever, he can use deadly force. He goes on to say is that the Northerner dude that, the guard starts shooting, and he says, anytime you shoot on the yard, the blacks are going to take off running. Of course, implying that the blacks are afraid to get shot. So let me just show you what he said in his own words.
Adrenaline's up. Let's do this. We're smacking them. We're on top. Like, we're hitting everybody. I could say my cellie, I was proud of him. I'll tell you the story later about him. But man, that day during that riot, I everything's slow motion. I'm trying to fight and 50 blacks right here, and I look at him and he's just rocking. I'm like, and it pumps you up. I don't have to take care of him. He don't have to take care of me. The other 2 homies, they got overwhelmed, but in a good way. They isolated a couple guys over there. They stayed with those guys. Me and my cellie, we probably went head on with about 90 blacks that day. 3 different waves.
And you can get dropped?
Never.
Wow.
Never got dropped. Never been dropped in prison. I never been stabbed. I never been sliced.
So how'd you get shot? When did they start shooting?
They started shooting from the first round. Get down. Right. They're shooting, whatever. I ain't sure. I'm not worried about the shots. I'm worried about 30 trying to kill me. I'm worried about my cellie. Ultimately, we are one and one together.
So how do you avoid getting shot?
Stick and move, bro. So in a riot, remember, I'm in a riot. You got a multitude of people in front of you, on the side of you. It's chaos. You got people running towards you.
Right.
So initially, the guards are supposed to shoot on the floor or ricochet off the floor.
Right.
So when they're ricocheting shots, I can't hear them yet. You know, because I'm in the thick of it. At this time, it was the second wave. They're already shooting. I'm like, I could hear it, but I'm not tripping. So after the second wave, like, that one was intense. You know, we backed up for a second, and we're like, oh, we're breathing hard. And I was like, cool? I was like, yeah, cool. And here they come again, another wave. Got up. We were in, oh, my bad. At that time, after the second wave hit, they were shooting like crazy. And the blacks, you shoot on the yard, blacks take off running. Come on. I'm sure you've been locked up. If a white man is stabbing someone, that white man is going to finish the job. If a southerner is stabbing you, that southerner is going to do the job. No disrespect to blacks, but like I said, I'd rather fight 100 blacks.
Understood.
So I definitely want you guys to interpret that as you will, right? Because in my understanding of what he said, of course, he implied that when the guards start shooting, the blacks will take off running because they are fearful of being shot. Also, in my opinion, he made it seem like the fear of being shot by a weapon in prison, especially when you don't have a weapon of your own to shoot back, was exclusively and solely only on the blacks and no other race. Now, that entire interview was about 2 hours long, so I didn't watch the entire interview. Though a couple of days ago, I came home, turned on my computer, and lo and behold, that interview pops up again. This time, knowing that I didn't watch the whole interview the last time, I took the little mouse, I dragged it to a certain point where he was talking about a stabbing or something. And so I'm listening to him talk about that, right? And maybe about 2 or 3 minutes into the the portion that I was watching, then up pops this, right? And sometimes I honestly be feeling like, man, divine intervention, because out of that long 2-hour interview, it seemed like I was just, directed right to this specific point. So let me show you guys what he said in relation to he himself being shot in the exact same interview where, in my opinion, he tried to basically, cast a negative light on the blacks doing time in prison.
This guy pulled up, and he was already done. They already knew who he was. And mind you, I remember my boy that was there. He's like, hey, man, there's a guy that just pulled up. If he pulls up, he's all bad. That's all right. And by chance, he pulls up to my cell. And I don't have a cellie because, remember, my cellie just left in the right. My cellie got busted in the right.
Right, okay.
And even when that happened, he's like, hey, brother, we're going to let someone else do it on the tier. And I was like, I'll do it. Nah. He's like, just kick back. I was like, no, I'm living with this guy. You just told me he has to go, and that just changes the whole dynamics. I'm living with trash, I can't do it. They're like, bro, 3 days. Just live with them for 3 days is like eternity. And mind you, I didn't have to do it. I don't regret it. So as soon as they came in, it was like on a Monday, Tuesday. Old boy's like, you got it? I was like, yeah, I'm probably going to hit him. And I wanted to know, they want to know the details. They wanted me to hit him on the tier. I was like, hell no, they're going to shoot me, bro. So one thing I knew, I didn't want to get shot in prison.
Right.
It's like, I'll stab him, but on my terms.
So if you quite missed the point that I was trying to zone in on, is he admits himself that he was getting ready to stab somebody and they wanted him to stab this dude on the tier. And damn, what did he say? He was scared of being shot. See, to me, it's just crazy, right? How you'll have some individuals come on here. They'll tell these prison stories. They'll try to sound tough. They'll try to make one group sound weak, or so on and so forth, instead of just telling the story how it is and just being straightforward and keeping it real, right? I've seen a lot of different incidents in prison where the guard in the tower has pulled out his rifle, right? The truth of the matter is, nobody in prison wants to get shot, right? I think a lot of times when something jumps off, and if a dude is angry enough or the adrenaline is flowing enough, He knows, of course, that the guard is in the tower with the rifle. I just think that at times, due to the adrenaline or possibly the anger, you just push past that fear and you do what you feel you have to do. No human in his right mind wants to get shot. No human is dumb enough to think that he can stand there and withstand a bullet coming from a high-powered rifle. The only individuals that I can think of, that I know of, who wants to get shot are individuals who committed suicide. So for me personally, it was a trip to see this individual who obviously, for whatever reason, had great disdain when it comes to black people, and who tried to, basically throw shade on blacks, made it seem like all blacks are scary, and, you pull out a rifle when it's a riot, jumping off and start shooting, all the blacks are going to run. And of course, it's implied that they're running because they don't want to get shot. So then to see him turn around and admit in the same interview in which he was talking like he was a super warrior, he was this prison beast who wasn't afraid of anything, to see him turn around and admit that he didn't want to be shot in a situation that he may likely be shot in trying to stab somebody, to me was just extremely laughable. Once again, as far as I'm concerned, this is definitely not a black and a Mexican or a black and a northern issue, right? Shout out to the northerners. To me, it's just crazy, laughable, and hard to understand why this individual would come on here and try to paint the blacks in a certain light, as if not wanting to be shot was a bad thing, and then for him to turn around and admit it himself. It's crazy, like how, and I guess I get it, right? A lot of these dudes, they want to come on here and they want to tell these stories. They want to get this attention. Maybe they're looking for book deals. Maybe they're looking to start their own channels. So they have to put a whole lot of extras, bells and whistles on what really happened to sensationalize their story, of course, to try to attain as many views as they can. And now that I think about it, I think I did see somewhere in the course of that interview, he was talking about that he was trying to get a book deal or something like that, maybe a movie deal, something like that, right? So, of course, when you're speaking to these individuals, these big wigs in these studios or these big wigs in these book companies who have never been to prison and they're fascinated by this stuff, you're going to try to make it sound as scary as possible. You're going to try to make it sound like it's a horrific place. And of course, you're going to try to make yourself sound like Superman, or in this case, Spider-Man, because I believe his name was Spider. Anyway, in my opinion, that's just some crazy work right there, man. But y'all already know what time it is. It's your boy 16 to life. Resume normal program.